Ambassador John Miller stood tall in the center of the vast Galactic Council chamber. 17 alien species watched from their elevated seats, their expressions ranging from boredom to quiet contempt. The air felt cold and still. Earth rejects these terms, Miller said, his voice echoing through the chamber. We have contributed resources, knowledge, and goodwill for 20 years. Yet you treat humans as children begging for scraps at your table. High Counselor Drevnar, a tall blue-skinned being with 4 arms, leaned forward. His upper left hand waved dismissively. Ambassador Miller, humanity has been part of galactic society for mere decades. Some species here achieved space travel when your kind still hid in caves. The Council's decision stands. Miller's face remained calm, but his eyes hardened. He looked around the chamber one final time, making eye contact with each council member. Then humanity stands alone. He unpinned the silver council emblem from his jacket, placed it carefully on the speaker's podium, and walked toward the exit. The massive doors opened, then closed behind him with a deep sound that filled the silent chamber. After a moment, the council erupted in chatter. Commander Zix Vora of the Arturian Dominion laughed loudly, a harsh, clicking sound. How dramatic. The humans think themselves so important. Zix Vora's insect-like mandibles clicked together. I predict they will return within 1 solar cycle, begging for protection. Most council members nodded or made sounds of agreement. Only Ambassador Lurthal of the Eldari remained silent. The oldest species in the council, the Eldari had seen empires rise and fall across countless millennia. I have studied human history, Lurthal said finally, voice soft but carrying to every corner of the room. They are young, yes, but dangerous when cornered. We should not dismiss them so easily. High Counselor Drevnar waved all 4 arms in frustration. The Council has spoken. Earth may rejoin discussions when they accept their proper place. Now, to more important matters. 12 light-years away, aboard the orbiting station above Earth, John Miller stepped off the transport shuttle. His assistant, Ben Clark, waited at the dock. How did they respond, sir? Ben asked. Miller walked past him. Exactly as expected. Contact the President. Phase 2 begins now. In the North American Naval Command Center, Captain Lisa Reeves stood before a wall of screens, hands clasped behind her back. The largest screen showed a massive ship under construction in Earth's orbit, sleek, dark, and unlike any vessel humans had publicly revealed to the galaxy. Admiral George Patterson entered the room. Lisa turned and saluted. At ease, Captain, Patterson said. I have your new orders directly from the President. He handed her a sealed envelope. Lisa opened it and read quickly, her eyes widening slightly. The U.S. Defiant, sir. She's not scheduled for completion for another 6 months. Patterson's face was grim. Construction timeline has been accelerated. The President wants our best ships ready now that we've officially withdrawn from the Council, and the technologies we've been keeping in reserve. Full implementation authorized. The Defiant will be the first to receive all of them. Lisa looked back at the screen, at the ship that would soon be hers. The Council believes we're sulking children throwing a tantrum. Let them, Patterson said. By the time they realize their mistake, it will be too late. In his private chambers on the Council homeworld, Ambassador Lurthal reviewed files on human history, military conflicts, technological innovations, cultural adaptations. The screen glowed with images of Earth's wars and advancements. An aide entered with a message. Ambassador, sensors have detected unusual energy signatures near Earth. The humans appear to be building something significant. Lurthal nodded slowly. Request an emergency council session immediately. On what grounds, Ambassador? The ancient diplomat closed the files. Tell them I have reason to believe we have made a grave miscalculation regarding humanity. Will they listen, sir? Lurthal gazed out at the stars through his window, wondering which one was Sol, Earth's sun. No, he said quietly, but I must try anyway. For all our sakes. 6 months passed without a word from Earth. The Galactic Council continued its business as usual, but small changes began to appear throughout the galaxy. Trell, a green-skinned trader from the Vega system, noticed it first at the busy spaceport on Junction Station. The human merchants who usually filled the trading floor with their loud voices and strange bargaining methods were gone. Their shops stood empty, with signs reading "permanently closed" hanging in the windows. Where have all the humans gone? Trell asked a station manager. The manager shrugged all 6 shoulders. Left suddenly. Sold everything at low prices. Very strange. Similar reports came from across the galaxy. Human mining colonies went silent. Research stations emptied overnight. Joint business ventures dissolved as humans sold their shares and disappeared. In the council chambers, Ambassador Lyrithal raised these concerns during a routine meeting. "The humans are planning something," Lyrithal said. "Our long-range scans show unusual activity in the Sol system, massive energy readings and construction projects. High Counselor Drevenar sighed with all 4 breathing holes. Must we waste council time on human matters? They are simply pouting." Commander Zixvorik clicked his mandibles in agreement. "My sources say they are building defensive structures. How typical of a primitive species to hide behind walls when frightened." The council moved on to other matters, but Lyrithal remained troubled. Later that day, a Xilorian scout ship captain filed an unusual report. Captain Veer had taken his ship close to the edge of the Sol system on a routine patrol. What he saw disturbed him. "The humans have built structures around their entire system," Veer reported to the Council's military division. "And their fleet, it's much larger than our records indicated. The ships are different too, more advanced." General Kraz, the Council's military advisor, studied the blurry images from Veer's ship. "These energy readings can't be right. That would suggest technology beyond even the Eldari." The report was filed away, marked unreliable data. On Earth, in the hidden facility beneath Denver, Dr. Alice Warren watched as her team tested the new propulsion system. Through the thick glass, blue energy swirled and stabilized in a perfect sphere. Power output at 300% of projected levels. Her assistant said, "It's stable." Alice smiled. "Begin installation on the fleet ships immediately. Priority to the Defiant." Miles away in the Pacific Ocean, a new shipyard hidden beneath the waves completed another warship. Colonel Frank Martinez walked along the construction platform, inspecting the nearly finished vessel. "How many does this make?" asked his second-in-command. 57, Frank replied. "All with the technologies we kept hidden from the Council." "Will it be enough?" Frank looked up at the massive ship. "It has to be. The outer colonies report increased activity from beyond the rim. We're running out of time." In orbit above Earth, Admiral Lisa Reeves stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiant. Through the view screen, she watched as workers applied the final sections of the outer hull. The ship was beautiful, sleek, powerful, and filled with technologies the Council believed impossible for humans to develop. Her communications officer turned from his station. "Admiral, we've lost contact with New Haven Colony. All 40,000 colonists gone." Lisa's face hardened. "Was it them?" "Analysis suggests yes. The same pattern as the other disappearances." She touched a control panel. "Accelerate final preparations. We launch in 48 hours." At the edge of human space, something moved in the darkness between stars. Not Council ships, something else. Something hungry. On the Council homeworld, Ambassador Lyrithal woke from a troubled sleep. His aide stood by his bed, looking worried. "Forgive the intrusion, Ambassador, but an emergency message has arrived from your contact in Earth's government." Lyrithal read the message, his ancient face growing pale. "Wake the High Counselor," he said urgently. "Tell him humanity hasn't been preparing for war against us. They've been preparing to save us all." 1 year after Earth's departure from the Council, strange reports began to emerge from the galaxy's outer regions. 3 mining colonies went silent within the same week. The Council sent ships to investigate, but they found only debris and strange energy traces. In the Council chamber, General Kraz displayed images of the destroyed colonies. The usually confident military leader looked troubled. "Something attacked these outposts with weapons we haven't seen before," Kraz said. "The destruction patterns are unlike anything in our records." Commander Zixbora waved a dismissive hand. "Pirates grow bolder every year. We should increase patrols." "Pirates don't leave energy signatures like these," Kraz countered, pointing to the data. "And there's something else. A human science vessel was spotted near each colony shortly before the attacks." High Counselor Drevenar leaned forward. "Are you suggesting humans are behind these attacks?" Ambassador Lurthal, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "No, I believe the humans were tracking whatever did this." The Council chamber filled with skeptical murmurs. Lurthal continued. "My sources say that several human colonies have also vanished. They aren't attacking. They're afraid." "The mighty humans, afraid." Zix. Vor laughed. "Of what?" "Ghosts in the darkness." Lurthal's ancient eyes narrowed. "Perhaps we should all be afraid." Back on Earth, Dr. Alice Warren stood in a vast underground chamber. Before her, a massive sphere of swirling energy hung suspended in a containment field. Scientists and engineers worked at stations around the room, monitoring the pulsing light. "Power output stable at maximum levels," an engineer reported. "The core is ready for installation." Alice nodded, her face reflecting the blue glow. "This will power 50 ships. Begin production of the next batch immediately." She turned as Colonel Frank Martinez entered the chamber. His uniform bore the New Earth Defense Force insignia, a planet with a shield. "Impressive," Frank said, looking at the energy core. "Will it be enough?" "It has to be," Alice replied. "The Void Harbingers have already taken 3 of our outer colonies. We lost contact with New Eden yesterday." Frank's face darkened. 30,000 people. Gone. "The Council still doesn't believe they exist," Alice said bitterly. "We showed them our data a year ago. They called it primitive science fiction. They'll believe soon enough," Frank said. "Our scouts report the Harbingers are changing course. They're heading toward Council space." In orbit above Earth, Admiral Lisa Reeves stood in the Defiance war room. Holographic maps showed fleet positions throughout the galaxy. Blue dots represented human ships. Red dots showed confirmed Void Harbinger sightings. "Status report," Lisa ordered. Her second-in-command, Captain Bill Mason, stepped forward. "The fleet is at 87% readiness. 20 more ships will be complete within the month. All colonies have been evacuated to inner systems. And Project Firewall. The system-wide defense grid is active. If they come for Earth, they'll have a fight." Lisa studied the map. "They won't come here. Not yet. Their pattern suggests they're heading for the Orion cluster first." "Council space," Bill said quietly. "Yes." Lisa zoomed the map to show the Orion cluster, home to 5 Council species. Billions of lives. "We could warn them." Lisa's expression hardened. "We tried that. They wouldn't listen. So we let them die." Lisa was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she turned to her communications officer. "Send a message to Earth Command. Request permission to reestablish contact with the Council." At the edge of Council space, a Void Harbinger scout ship emerged from the darkness. It was massive and black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Inside, creatures of shadow and hunger sensed the life-filled worlds ahead. On the Council homeworld, Ambassador Lurthal stood alone on his balcony, watching the night sky. A movement caught his eye. A falling star, bright against the darkness. No, not a star. A ship. His communication device chimed. The message was short. "You were right. They're coming. Prepare your people. Joan Miller, Earth Ambassador." Lurthal closed his eyes briefly, then hurried inside. The Council needed to know. The humans had been right all along, and now everyone would pay the price for their arrogance. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the message from Earth appeared on the main screen. It was the first official communication in 18 months. Humanity respectfully withdraws from all previous agreements with the Galactic Council and its member species. We wish you prosperity. High Counselor Drevmar looked around the chamber with all four eyes. Is that all? No demands? No threats? Ambassador Lurthal stepped forward. There's more, Counselor. An attachment. The screen changed to show video footage. The council members watched in stunned silence as images of Earth's military fleet appeared. Not the small defensive ships they had known about, but massive warships with technology far beyond what humans had ever revealed. The footage showed weapons tests, planet-sized shields engaging, energy weapons that could cut through asteroid fields, and gravity manipulation technology that the Council had only theorized about. Most shocking was the size of the fleet. Hundreds of ships, far outnumbering the combined forces of the Council. Commander Zixfora's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. This cannot be real. Humans could not have hidden such advancements. General Kraz studied the footage with narrowed eyes. It's real. The energy signatures match what we found at the destroyed colonies, but the humans didn't attack those outposts. They were fighting something else there. More footage played, showing a massive black ship unlike anything they had seen before. The human vessels engaged it, their weapons tearing through its strange hull. The black ship seemed to absorb light around it before it was destroyed. The chamber erupted in panic. Council members shouted over each other, demanding explanations. Lurthal raised his voice above the chaos. I've been warning you for months. The humans weren't building weapons against us. They were preparing for an enemy they tried to warn us about. An enemy we dismissed as human fantasy. On the bridge of the U.S. Defiant, Admiral Lisa Reeves watched her communications officer. Has the Council responded? Yes, Admiral. They're requesting an immediate meeting. Lisa nodded. Set course for the neutral zone. Maximum speed. Captain Bill Mason looked concerned. You think they'll listen now? They have no choice. The Void Harbingers have already destroyed 2 minor Council outposts. They'll reach the Orion cluster in days. In the Council chambers, Ambassador Lurthal translated an ancient human military phrase for the assembled delegates. Do not mistake our restraint for weakness. What does it mean? Asked a nervous council member. It means, Lurthal explained, that humanity could have used their power against us at any time. Instead, they chose to protect themselves, and by extension, us, when we refused to listen. High Counselor Drevnar's blue skin had paled to a sickly shade. We must contact Earth immediately. Offer them whatever they want. I don't think they want anything from us, Lurthal said quietly, except perhaps for us to get out of their way. A junior aide rushed into the chamber, ignoring protocol. Counselors, our long-range sensors have detected a massive fleet entering the Orion cluster. It's not human, it's something else. General Kraz brought up the sensor readings on the main screen. Dozens of black ships, each larger than a Council dreadnought, moved through space toward the populated worlds of the Orion cluster. Those are the same ships from the human footage, Kraz said, his voice grim. Whatever they are, they're coming for us now. High Counselor Drevnar stood, using all 4 arms to steady himself. Send a message to Earth. Tell them we request assistance. In the darkness of space near the Orion cluster, the Void Harbinger fleet moved silently toward the inhabited worlds. They had consumed 3 human colonies, absorbing their energy and resources. The Council worlds would be next. But between them and their prey, a wormhole suddenly tore open space itself. The U.S. Defiant emerged, followed by 50 human warships. Admiral Lisa Reeves stood on the bridge, her face set with determination. All ships, battle formation, she ordered. The Council may not have believed in the Harbingers, but we've been preparing for this moment for years. Today we show them exactly what humanity is capable of. Behind her, the crew of the Defiant readied themselves for the battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. The Galactic Council sent a diplomatic mission to Earth led by newly appointed High Counselor Lurthal. Their sleek ship approached the Sol system cautiously. What they saw shocked them. Massive defense platforms circled the entire system. Energy shields shimmered between planets. Ships of various sizes patrolled in perfect formation. None of this had existed 6 months ago. "How did they build all this so quickly?" whispered a council aide. "They didn't," Lurthal replied. "They had this technology all along." A human voice came through the communication system. "Council vessel, this is Earth Defense Command. Please hold position." They waited. Minutes later, a human ship approached, smaller than their vessel but clearly well armed. "Follow us to Station Alpha. Admiral Reeves will meet you there." The station hung in space at the edge of the system, a massive ringed structure with ships docking along its outer rim. Inside, Admiral Lisa Reeves waited in a plain meeting room. Lurthal entered first, bowing slightly. "Admiral, thank you for agreeing to meet." Lisa nodded. "High Counselor, things have changed since we last spoke." "Indeed." Lurthal took a seat. "The Void Harbingers. You tried to warn us about them a year ago." "We did. Why didn't you share your true military capabilities with the Council?" Lisa's face remained calm. "We showed you our true capabilities when we first met. You chose to see what you expected to see." "I don't understand." Lisa touched a control panel. A hologram appeared showing the first human delegation to the Council 18 years earlier. The humans had brought technical documents describing their propulsion systems, energy weapons, and shielding technology. You assumed these were theoretical concepts, fantasies from a young species trying to impress you. But they were accurate descriptions of what we had already built. Lisa paused. "You saw what you wanted to see. A primitive species barely worth your attention." Lurthal looked pained. "And so you pretended to be less advanced than you were." "We played the role you assigned us while building what we needed to defend ourselves." The meeting was interrupted by a young human officer rushing in. "Admiral, we've received reports of Void Harbinger attacks on 3 pirate bases in the Krull sector." Lurthal looked surprised. "Pirate bases? The Council has tried to eliminate those bases for decades. They were too well defended." Lisa smiled slightly, apparently not against the Harbingers. "Or against humans," Lurthal said, studying Lisa's face. "Those weren't Harbinger attacks, were they?" Lisa didn't answer directly. "The pirates preyed on civilian shipping lanes for too long. The Council deemed them too difficult to address. We disagreed." Before Lurthal could respond, alarms sounded throughout the station. A large screen on the wall activated, showing a fleet of black ships, Void Harbingers, emerging near a populated Council world. "How many?" Lisa asked the officer. 27 ships, Admiral, larger than the ones we faced before." Lisa stood. "Ready the fleet. I want the Defiant and Battle Group 7 at the wormhole point in 10 minutes. Lurthal rose as well. "Admiral, please, my people are in the path of these creatures. The Council formally requests Earth's assistance." Lisa studied the ancient diplomat. "After you dismissed us, after you called our warnings primitive fears." "Yes," Lurthal said simply. "We were wrong. I was wrong not to fight harder for humans to be heard. Now billions will pay for our arrogance if you don't help." Lisa was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded once. "Not for the Council. For the innocent people in harm's way." She turned to her officers. "Prepare battle groups 1 through 9. Full weapons deployment authorized." On the main Council world, panic spread as news of the approaching Harbingers reached the public. The Council chambers had become a center of frantic activity. Military advisors offered desperate strategies. Evacuation plans were drawn up, knowing they could never save everyone. Commander Zixvora watched the chaos with clicking mandibles. "We are doomed. Our greatest weapons are nothing against these creatures. General Kraz stood beside him, watching a tactical display. Perhaps. But look. The display showed new signatures appearing. Human ships, dozens of them, moving to intercept the Harbingers. Why would they help us now? Zex, Vora asked, after how we treated them. Kraz's eyes remained on the display. Because they are human. And we never truly understood what that means. The Council fleet engaged the Void Harbingers in the space above Orion Prime. Millions watched from the planet below as bright flashes lit up the night sky. It was not going well. 3 Council dreadnoughts were already gone, torn apart by the black ships. The Harbingers moved like living shadows, absorbing energy weapons and shrugging off physical impacts. Their own weapons cut through Council shields as if they weren't there. On the command ship, General Kraz watched with growing despair as his carefully planned attack fell apart. Ships were breaking formation, their captains panicking. "We can't stop them," his second-in-command said, voice shaking. "We've lost half the fleet already." Kraz closed his eyes briefly. "Begin evacuation of the planet. Save who we can." "Sir, there are 8 billion people down there. We can't possibly." A communication officer interrupted. "General, I'm detecting multiple wormhole signatures." The space behind the Harbinger fleet suddenly tore open. Massive holes appeared in the fabric of space itself, swirling with blue energy. Through these portals came the human fleet, led by the U.S. Defiant. Admiral Lisa Reeves stood on the bridge, calmly issuing orders as her ships moved into perfect battle formation. "All ships, engage Protocol Omega. Target the lead Harbinger vessels first. Let's show them what humanity can do." The human ships moved with incredible precision. Unlike the Council vessels, they didn't try to attack individually. They moved together like dancers in a deadly ballet. 3 human ships surrounded 1 Harbinger vessel. Their weapons fired simultaneously at the exact same spot, overwhelming its defenses. The black ship shuddered and broke apart. "How are they doing that?" General Kraz whispered, watching the battle unfold on his screens. On another human ship, Dr. Alice Warren monitored energy readings. "Their shields adapt to our weapons," she told the captain. "Rotation pattern Alpha. Switch frequencies every 12 seconds." The human fleet adjusted instantly. Their weapons changed, confusing the Harbinger's defenses. 3 more enemy ships exploded. The Harbingers attempted to regroup. Their largest vessel, twice the size of the others, moved to the center of their formation. It began to pulse with dark energy. "They're trying to create a gravity well," Lisa said on the Defiance bridge. "All ships, form barrier pattern. Deploy countermeasures." The human fleet shifted again. Smaller vessels moved to the front, deploying what looked like simple satellites. These devices activated, generating a field that disrupted the Harbinger's gravity weapon. From his ship, now joining the battle, High Counselor Lurthal watched in amazement. "Their coordination is perfect. How are they communicating so quickly?" His aide studied the readings. "They're not using standard communication channels. I think they're using quantum entanglement. Instantaneous communication across any distance. Technology the Council believed was centuries away," Lurthal murmured. The battle continued. The Harbinger ships began to retreat, but the human vessels pursued relentlessly. When a human ship was damaged, others moved to protect it while it repaired itself with technology the Council had never seen. On the planet below, people cheered as they watched the Harbingers fall one by one. The largest Harbinger vessel made one final desperate attack. It accelerated directly toward the planet, intending to crash into it. "They're going to hit the surface," General Kraz shouted. "Billions will die in the impact." Admiral Lisa Reeves' voice was steady as she gave her order. "Defiant, intercept course. Activate the gravity shield." The U.S. Defiant moved into the path of the massive Harbinger ship. It seemed like suicide. The human vessel was a quarter of the size of the enemy. But as the ships were about to collide, the Defiant emitted a field of blue energy. The Harbinger ship suddenly slowed, as if moving through thick liquid. Its momentum bled away until it stopped completely, hanging in space just kilometers above the planet's atmosphere. "Finish it," Lisa ordered. 5 human ships surrounded the frozen Harbinger vessel. Their weapons fired as one, tearing the black ship to pieces. On the Council command ship, General Kraz sat in stunned silence. "They saved us all." High Counselor Lurithol nodded slowly. "Yes, and now we must ask ourselves why they bothered, after how we treated them." As the last Harbinger ship fell, cheers erupted across the communication channels. The human ships formed up again, their formation a display of power and precision impossible to ignore. Admiral Lisa Reeves opened a channel to all vessels. "This battle is won, but the war has just begun." The Grand Council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from all 17 council species gathered for an emergency session. The mood was somber, reflective. At the center of the chamber stood a human, Ambassador Peter Hayes. Unlike before, he did not approach the speaker's podium. Instead, he stood quietly to the side, observing. High Counselor Lurithol rose from his seat. The chamber fell silent. 3 days ago, we faced extinction, Lurithol began. The Void Harbingers would have destroyed Orion Prime and moved on to consume our other worlds. We could not stop them. He paused, looking at the human ambassador. But humanity could, and they did. Murmurs of agreement filled the room. Even Commander Zixphora, who had been most dismissive of humans, nodded his insect-like head. Ambassador Hayes, Lurithol continued, the Council formally acknowledges humanity's role in defeating the Harbingers. We offer Earth a permanent seat on the Council, with full status and privileges. The chamber waited for Hayes's response. The human smiled slightly but shook his head. High Counselor, humanity appreciates the offer, but we must decline. Shocked whispers spread through the room. Lurithol looked confused. You saved us when you had every reason to let us fall. Why refuse this honor now? Hayes stepped forward. Humanity doesn't seek dominance or special status. We turned our backs not out of spite, but because you gave us no choice. We needed to prepare for threats you refused to acknowledge. He walked to the center of the room. For years, we tried to warn you about the Harbingers. We detected their approach long ago. We knew what they were capable of. But the Council dismissed our evidence as primitive science fiction. Many Council members looked away, unable to meet his eyes. We don't want a seat at your table. What we want is a partnership of equals. Not because of our weapons or ships, but because all intelligent life deserves respect. General Kraz stood from his seat. The battle you fought for us, your tactics, your technology. I've never seen anything like it. How did humanity advance so quickly without our knowledge? Hayes smiled. We didn't advance quickly. We were always this advanced. We simply learned early in our history that revealing your true strength isn't always wise. High Counselor Lurithol approached Hayes. What happens now? Now we prepare. The Harbingers you saw were just a scouting force. Our intelligence suggests 3 more fleets approaching from different vectors. The chamber erupted in panic. Lurithol raised his hands for silence. You're certain of this? Hayes nodded. We've been tracking them for months. Earth has already begun preparations to meet them. We're building more ships, more weapons. And you're willing to fight for us again, after everything. Not for you, Hayes said. For all sentient life. The Harbingers don't discriminate between humans and aliens. Neither should we. As the session ended, Hayes prepared to depart. General Kraz approached him in the corridor. Ambassador, there's something I don't understand. Even with your advanced technology, you risked everything to save our worlds. Why? Hayes considered the question. On Earth, thousands of years ago, a human philosopher said, the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. We couldn't do nothing, even if the people we saved once dismissed us. As Hayes walked away, General Kraz turned to Lurithol, who had joined them. They weren't building weapons to use against us. They were building shields to protect us. In Earth's orbital command center, Admiral Lisa Reeves and Dr. Alice Warren stood before a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red markers indicated the approaching Harbinger fleets. "The Council ships are being retrofitted with our shield technology," Lisa said. "But it won't be enough." Alice studied the display. "Then we'll build more. The new energy cores can power twice as many ships." "Will it be enough?" Alice looked up at the stars visible through the viewport. "It has to be." A young officer approached. "Admiral, we've detected unusual energy readings from the edge of the Andromeda galaxy. It's not Harbinger technology." "It might be allies." Lisa and Alice exchanged hopeful glances. Perhaps humanity's stand against the darkness had been noticed by others. Perhaps they weren't alone after all. As Earth prepared for the coming war, one thing was certain. When humanity had turned its back on the Council, it wasn't walking away from the fight. It was merely choosing the right ground on which to make its stand.